When you're considering starting an agroforestry operation on your farm, take stock of yourself and your land. Review your own skill set, your strengths, areas where you may need help. Perhaps you're good at record keeping, but not good at maintaining engines and equipment. Maybe tree biology and care comes naturally to you, but marketing and customer contact doesn't. Review the strengths and weaknesses of your farm. Is it near a highway for easy fresh market sales? Does it have ridges that offer frost protection for a natural orchard setting? Have you found wild nut trees growing in the woods? When you look at the soil map and topography, do some areas appear suited to agroforestry? Successful farmers match the crops they want to grow and market to the natural strengths of their land and location. So we've been learning about taking stock of your land and yourself, your own skill set. And we're here with Mark Sheppard of Forest Agriculture Enterprises. Hi, Mark.
Hi there.
To learn his story. And Mark, how did you get started? Once you had this land, how did you figure out what you wanted to do with it?
One of the things that I did first was to look in the library, find some resources about, well, what is the ecological neighborhood here? What kind of plants thrive here and grow here and have been here historically for a period of time? So if we were to grow the plants that actually are naturally adapted to this area, they'd have a better chance of success with very little care. And that's what I figured we wanted to do, is imitate what works. And then probably my number one teacher would be observation, just direct, actual observation of what's going on in the ecological neighborhood.
Did you have a mentor when you started?
I guess I would have to say nature itself, yeah.
That's pretty neat. From your own personal skill set and your own personal taking stock, did you think about, for example, I'd like to run a roadside stand, I'd like to have contact with people daily, or were there other skills that you brought to the table as a farmer?
Probably a skill set that I actually thought about was that I really do enjoy trees. I like wandering around in the countryside. I like it to be, you know, somewhat open so I've got a view, and yet also have trees around me for plenty of shade.
This is a gorgeous view.
Glad you like it. I kind of like it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like this. This was these barren, scalped, rolling hills with erosion gullies going down the middle of it, so it's changed a lot in 15 years.
So you like trees, so you wanted to work with trees.
Correct.
What about working with people?
I like working with people, but I would rather not, for example, sell watches in a kiosk in the center of a shopping mall.
And what about working with equipment and being a mechanic?
That's another kind of a funny story too, that happened by necessity. I don't particularly enjoy working with machines and tinkering around. That's not my cup of tea. I never worked on cars when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I kind of hate being a mechanic. But I'm really good at it now because I had to. And if you're going to get into this and have some kind of equipment, you're either going to have to learn how to fix it yourself if you don't have the financial resources. If you do have the financial resources, you'll have to hire somebody else. I had to learn that skill myself. You know, otherwise we would have to be growing not much more of whatever it is that's going to provide the cash flow.
So let's talk about marketing. When I stand here and look around and I see this County Highway I, not a very busy road, hardly any traffic, so that would tell me not a good spot for a farmer's market stand or a pick your own crop. Did that come into play for you when you decided how to market what you're growing?
It sure did. This is not an ideal site for a pick your own or a roadside stand.
Mark, talking about the different crops that you grow here, how did you choose those specific crops and how do you market them?
Well, I know I've mentioned before about the different woody crops that we've grown, or the ones that were ecologically suited to this area, and that's why we keyed heavily on chestnut and hazelnut and apples. And then the alley crops in between, we've done everything from corn and beans to hay, but what really has worked for us is produce. The majority of that produce has been marketed through the Organic Valley Cooperative, of which we're members. Been members for 17 years now. And
that's a wholesale co-op?
It's the produce is all sold wholesale, correct. And how it works is that smaller scale growers are all growing similar crops. We bring them together to a common warehouse where it gets put on a pallet, and then those pallets get shipped all over the country.
What about the nut crops, the chestnuts and the hazelnuts? How do you market those?
Well, that's an interesting story. Most of that is word of mouth A lot of it is out the front door, and a lot of it right now we're using for product development, you know, making different kinds of chocolate hazelnut spreads and that sort of thing.
So value added. Did you say chocolate hazelnut spread?
Chocolate hazelnut spread, very good stuff, yeah. But one of the things that anybody getting into an agroforestry system, whatever is appropriate for a woody crop to grow on their land, they should grow enough of it in order to have enough of a quantity to attract a buyer who would be interested in buying that quantity, and then having enough of a quantity that would also pay for the transportation to get it to wherever you're going. If you're on the outskirts of a pretty large city, you don't need to have as much, and you could sell it at farmers market, which might be a large farmers market, or you can sell it direct to retail stores. Or in my case, we're 2.5 hours away from Madison, 4 hours from either Chicago or Minneapolis. We need to have very large quantities in order to put it on a truck to ship it that far.
Did you figure out your marketing scheme before you planted?
No, we didn't. Actually, we're always in the process of figuring out the marketing scheme. That's, I think, one thing that we always have to be doing, is always figuring out how to market our product.
I would like to get in on that product development and try your different hazelnut.
How about some hazelnut tort with a chocolate mocha frosting?
Oh my God, that sounds great.
Good. I have some
Thanks,
inside.
Mark.
Right.
Do research first about how to market the products you intend to grow. You'll have two different types of crops, those with quick turnaround that'll be ready to market pretty quickly, and those that take longer to grow to maturity. They'll be ready to market in a number of years, not months. Think creatively about potential partners and markets. Do your research, but be realistic. Find others in your community with similar interests so you can learn together and make connections. Maybe borrow tools or get tips on how to do some of the tasks ahead of you. Begin thinking about a business plan. Visit your local banker and assess whether they'll support you or whether you need to find another banker. Since you plan to build a long-term relationship with your banker, it's important that he or she understand your situation.
I'm thinking of starting a hazelnut operation on my land, and I brought my business plan.
All right, that's pretty interesting. I see you brought in a business plan here and a map of your property. Can you tell me a little bit more about your idea here?
Try to figure out if you and your banker are a good fit. It's key that they understand the size of your operation, your goals for your business, and your strengths. The best banker for you might not be the first person you meet, but the time spent finding a good fit will pay off. Create a business plan. Courses are available from a number of sources. Go to your local Natural Resources Conservation Service office for more advice. Also, there might be government programs that'll help you financially. Remember, you can always go to your local county extension office for more information on all kinds of practical topics when you're considering starting an agroforestry operation on your farm.